Hey guys, Ngamahu here once again, giving you that final endgame update for the Chieftain Cyclone, Ngamahu Cyclone video. It is the, of course, Beeftain 2.0. Wasn't quite what I would have expected out of a Beeftain 2.0 compared to the original Beeftain of Blade Vortex Chieftain, which is just probably on another level of its own. But that said, this is quite likely the strongest Cyclone character I've ever played, given that it's got a good blend of offense and defense. It's not super crazy fast like the Raiders that I've done, and it's not super out there tanky like a Jug would be. It's got a nice mix of the two, and overall it probably had the best Cyclone endgame DPS I've actually had, though maybe my Voidforge Raider would compete. That said, it just didn't feel anywhere near as consistent and smooth, because the DPS coming from this build is pretty much just consistent, smooth, and always reliable. You know what you're going to get since it's non-crit EO based, and for the most part the only thing you really have to worry about is keeping a elemental overload proc up, which for the boss fights usually does happen quite frequently. It delved fairly well up until the really high like 370 type levels, which I tried a couple of, and it did start to get pretty tough with these sort of modifiers that do a lot of extra damage, because you are pure fire and just a sort of take the damage type of build rather than freezing stuff and moving really fast. So with that in mind, it wasn't the greatest for the super low delves that I end up doing, not the real truly super low, but the lowest I did at around the 300 plus mark. I did, of course, bust out my endurance charges. I have my base ult flask, and over 6k life in the end is what I was working with. Pretty good leech, and then, of course, Law Weave with triple balanced Wise Oak. For my own standards, and for the Uber Elder fight that you're going to see later, I'm pretty tanky, I would say. But once again, just pure fire type build. You're not really going to be preventing much damage coming in. You just have to take it and hope it doesn't kill you in the end. But it, for the most part, didn't really matter. I did not die very often on this character at all, and it, when min-maxed, can be, I'd say, a pretty effective Cycloner. Though it can definitely still function very well on the lower type of budget, because Ngamahu is all you really need, and then getting your resists up and try and get a bit of damage wherever you can. For the most part, that will take care of most maps in this game. Now, as far as the end game is concerned, we did start doing the tier 16s and Uber Elder right away, and the damage was actually better than I expected for these tier 16s. I could melt these bosses if I had an EO proc pretty comfortably, and it's just more of the playstyle of Cyclone being super melee and then having to move around that can get you in trouble at times and is a bit of a pain in the dick. But like I mentioned, we are pretty tanky, and then also actually have some pretty good DPS as well. So I did have to move around my gems a bit. For the most part, I think I ended up using Fortify in my Cyclone full time, so I didn't worry too much about Cyclone doing really good damage. It was mostly up to the ball procs, though Cyclone still does like 500k or so. If you get a War Chief down as well, he does a bunch of extra damage, especially with the Chieftain ascendancy that gives you extra damage from your War Chief or from totems being nearby enemies. So that's very useful as well, placing your totem pretty strategically. But it's not the greatest for the end game. It's just Cyclone, which really does leave you in a vulnerable state as pure melee. It ended up doing fairly well, but yeah, you can definitely find better end game type characters. Overall, it's just sort of a nice take on Cyclone. If you haven't actually played much Cyclone and you want a decent Cycloner, then this will probably be something you're kind of looking for, but you could potentially find better options in the form of other ascendancies that go faster or are tankier, using Xoph's Heart Amulet, which is a pretty big barrier for entry for those other ascendancies, but the option is definitely there. This is currently just a nice build you can slap together without too much requirement, and then min-max if you really got the funds going for you later on, I would say. So there's not too much else to mention. I think the character was wrapped up just fine here. I ended up dying one time to a Minotaur right here, which is kind of funny because I fucked up just a little bit in the way I got out here. Otherwise, I did 2 Uber Elder runs, died 1 time on each, and this is the first run. It went fairly well, but also fairly dicey. So hope you enjoyed the character, the video. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time. Yep, just gonna take an absolute fisting. And this probably isn't worth it either.
Putrefy, rot, spoil, and
It's kind of nice to have power charges at the start, hopefully. Damn, man, that's annoying. Deeps is good. Just need to play it well from here on out. Okay, so drop that. Now spin all over him. That's so bad. By good, I do obviously mean it's not bad. It's not that good. It's just it's not terrible. That's mostly what I was trying to say. I didn't push him over? Damn, that's unfortunate. I just used all of my flasks to try and get that push over there. It didn't quite work. Oh, that's so fucking bad! Getting stuck in a cyclone when he does that is a death sentence. So I have to be very careful not to do that again. Like that was just so bad. I'm very lucky to have survived that. I just popped a ball. Why is another ball showing up? Dropped the Val War Chief, and it didn't seem to save me, and I can't do that dude right now, and I don't know why that didn't hit me, but it definitely should have. Oh god, I'm fucked! Okay, not fucked. Oh Jesus, he's slapping. Once I had no flasks for that entire chunky phase, it was really hard to recover. If I had flasks, I could have probably fucking recovered, but yeah, they're not coming back up. Dude, that's terrible. Can't believe that hit me as well. Okay. It started out so well, and now it's a fucking mess. There's just so much ground everywhere. shit. Why is Shaper not dead yet, man? I'm not gonna kill him here, am I? Did I? I think I did. Ooh, Nelly. That, I think, could have gone better, but also went surprisingly well. I don't know if those words make sense. Could have gone better while kind of going well, but also going really bad. Something there makes sense, right? Fuck's a blood scepter anyway. Trash.